All right, our next guest on the Rock the Curly W podcast is none other than Chad Morris, the host of yet another podcast here in Page County, Sports with the Boys. It's Chad along with Buck Jenkins, J.R. Cave. I know you guys have TJ Parker on there a bunch, and Kevin. Who is Kevin? I'm not even sure who that is. There, Chad.
Kevin, he went to Lynchburg College, which is now known as University of Lynchburg. He went there with me, and we roomed together for 3 years. And then when we got out of school, he actually, crazy as he is, he moved up to Page County with us, and now he makes Shenandoah, Virginia his home.
Nice. So he's not originally a Valley boy, though, is he?
No, he's not. He's a 757 kid from Virginia Beach.
Okay, we won't hold it against him.
That's right. I tell him all the time, he's indoctrinated now. He's one of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, really glad you took some time to hop on with us. I know there's, you guys shouted us out on your last podcast. You guys do it a little bit differently than we do it. And you said it best. It's however you enjoy taking in your news. Maybe even you listen to both of us. You guys are a little bit on the more adult side. We kind of pander to whoever, but really glad you decided to come on, man. So how did you guys decide to start your podcast?
Yeah, first off, I appreciate you having me, and you're exactly right about that. Secondly, it's a weird, we're basically just a podcast conversations that you would hear at a cookout with a bunch of friends hanging out and talking. And we I draw my inspiration from the Dan Le Batard show and the Pat McAfee show. So we try to be a mix between those two shows is what I envision us. And so I just texted JR one day and I said, I don't see any reason why we can't get on there and do a show sort of like the Pat McAfee show. And he agreed with me, and I was kind of surprised that he would even want to try it. So I said, let's get the guys together and let's do a trial run. So we did, and it turned out a lot better than I thought it would. So then we decided from there, hey, it was fun. We had a good time doing it. Let's do it once a week, and we don't know how long we'll do it for or any of that. But as long as we're having fun doing it, we'll probably continue it. But that's basically how it started.
Well, I took a listen to it, and it's not like you guys are just kind of throwing it together. You guys are legit, man. The intro to it is awesome, where you guys have the little, blurbs of whatever you guys have said throughout the show. And how do you guys go about doing all that?
Well, Kev, he's our he kind of leads the technology side of it and the editing. He's really good with that stuff. I'm more I plan the show and kind of the creative ideas with it. And then the others, well, Buck, he helps me with the local stuff. He's really involved in the local stuff, always has been. JR is just our hilarious dude. I mean, he's one of the funniest people. You know him. He could do anything. He could get anybody laughing. And Chris Painter also joins us, and he's like me. He knows a little bit about everything. So we're a good mix of guys. But yeah, Kev takes care of the editing side of things.
Nice. Go ahead, Merce.
Yeah, you talked about trying to be like the Pat McAfee show, and I really get that because I watch that a lot, and I do get that kind of vibe from it. So big game coming up tomorrow. We're recording this on Saturday. Big game tomorrow. Who you got?
I got the Chiefs. We did a show last night, actually, and I took the Chiefs 31-27. Now, that doesn't mean I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I would rather see Tom Brady get his 7th ring, but I think the Chiefs are going to be too much for him.
Okay. Yeah.
I can agree with that, but I'm almost on the other end of it. I can't bet against Tom Brady ever because I've seen him in every situation possible, whether he's the underdog, whether he's the top dog. I can't bet against him, but I'm rooting against him. I would rather see Patrick Mahomes beat Tom Brady. I can't stand Tom Brady. And it's a bad business to be in because I'm watching him every February during Super Bowl Sunday. He's there. So
beat our team too. So that didn't make it.
Yeah, it didn't make it better easier. That he went through. Which, by the way, we have a dude in enemy territory right now because I believe that Chad is also a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, diehard Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
I might add to you guys, I'm not your normal Cowboys fan that spouts a lot of ignorant things and when they're winning, acts like they're going to win the Super Bowl. I've been in this since like 97 when I was 7 years old, I was probably considered a diehard fan, and I've stuck with them. And I haven't seen anything good in my time. So don't hold it against me too much.
No, you're good. I mean, what kind of success have we seen as Washington football team fans?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Chad, we talked before you came on. You've kind of had your hand in everything as you've grown up, and we talked about you coached my little brother Seth in basketball coming up. You still do a little bit of coaching in AAU, which you said you didn't this year because of COVID, but you also wrote for the Page News and Courier there for a little while. And, always saw you at the UVA football games, but talk about, growing up, man, like what did you want to do what you're doing now, or was it something that just kind of sprung on you?
Well, from an early age, like I said, I was a diehard Cowboys fan at 7 years old. So I knew sports was my thing. It's all I cared about growing up. And I tell my wife all the time, my son may end up being that way. I can already see a little bit of it, but I'm going to make sure that he learns how to work on a car and he learns how to do some things around the house and all that, because all I did was play sports. And I had a great dad, but he just let me do that.
Yeah.
He didn't make me go learn this and learn that. So that's the downside of it. But yeah, then when I was in high school, I wanted to pursue a career in journalism because I really liked to write and I was pretty good at it, or people told me I was pretty good at it. So I went to Lynchburg and I got a communications degree. And while I was at Lynchburg, I kind of fell in love with the public relations side of things more than the writing side of things. So what I really wanted to do was be a crisis communications manager when I got out of college. So I really focused on that on my last couple of years. And then, as you mentioned, I wrote for the Page News and Courier. I did that as an internship to finish my degree at the University of Lynchburg. And Bill Meade was great, man. He worked with me. I also worked a job at the Mimsons. So I was doing 2 jobs that whole summer. And then about the time I finished that internship is about the time I got a call about a job opportunity on the railroad dispatching trains. And you don't think railroad and communications journalism go hand in hand, but my job actually involves a lot of communications. I have to work with trains and track crew, and it's all about communications, really. So my degree kind of pays off in the profession I'm in now.
Cool. Mars?
Yeah, so you talked about doing that internship with the Page News and Courier. What's your favorite sport to cover or write about? Because I feel like a lot of journalists, they dive into multiple sports, or you have some of those beat reporters who just focus on one team. What's your favorite sport to cover?
Yeah, when I was at the Page News and Courier, which it was short-lived, it was just a summer, but I kind of got on the Valley League beat and covering all of that with the Wranglers and stuff. So I really enjoyed that, getting to know those players and really being on the beat of it, to where you really get inside of it. And I actually wrote kind of a controversial story. Here I am, this young punk journalist out of college, and I wrote this story about, I don't know if you remember it, but they fired Bocock at the time.
Oh yeah.
And the new coach, man, he got on me pretty good about that. But I learned then, you're gonna write that stuff, you're gonna have to stand by it, and I did then. So
they're hiring you for your look at it. So I'm glad that you did write that, because that was really the beginning of the end for the Wranglers back then. Once Bocock got shipped out, I think it was Brent Fuller, I think is his name.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It.
And he came in and took over the team, and now, he moved him up to Charlestown, and then he moved him over to Purcellville, where they currently reside. So they're the Purcellville Cannons now.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a cool thing to write about. I got to ask though, because I want to ask this to Bill at some point too. I want to get him on, but writing for the Page News, man, I feel like it's a no-win situation if you're talking about the high schools, because if you write a feature story about somebody from Page, the people from Luray are going to be mad. If you write a feature story about the kid from Luray, the people from Page are going to be mad. So did you ever run into any of those?
Yeah, I was helping during baseball season.
Yeah.
And we would, and Luray was actually really good that year. And I wrote a story of a kid, I forget his name. His last name was Wright, because I remember putting the header was doggone right. And and I remember writing that story, and there's my name in the byline, and I'm about as Page County as you can get. I mean, I love everything Page County. So everybody was like, I can't believe you wrote that nice a story about Luray and all that. So I got a lot of backlash from my people about writing good about Luray. And then I wasn't in it long enough to write enough about Page to where Luray people would be getting on me. Yeah. That more was directed towards Bill. But you're exactly right about it. You can't keep each side happy.
Yeah. It's almost like politics these days.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like when they always did that player of the week in the paper, whatever sport it was. If a Page person got it, Luray was going to lose their mind. Yeah. If a Luray person got it and a Page person didn't, it was just a real bad situation there. So you went to Page, you played basketball for Purdom. We've had a couple of previous players that have played for Purdom. Any stories you want to share?
Yeah.
I got so many stories I can't count them. But I don't know who all you've interviewed. I know you had Cole on, maybe. I don't know who else you had on.
We had Tyler on here too.
Tyler. Okay, so they're a little younger. Purdom may have mellowed out a little bit when he got them. I'm not 100 on that. But when I played for Purdom, he was intense. And there's a lot of stories that I wish I could tell you on here. But as far as Coach Purdom, man, he was awesome to play for. I know a lot of players probably didn't like him because of how brash he was, but I loved it, man. He challenged you. He tested your manhood. He was really going to make sure that you was ready, not only to play basketball, but ready for the real world out there. And seriously, I can't thank Coach Purdom enough for all the things he done for me, even after I could do nothing else for him. I couldn't score him any more points. And I was in school, and he was helping get me recruited to Lynchburg because I just really wanted to continue to play basketball, and he helped me. But I could tell y'all some stories on the side, but I don't think this is the show to tell you some of them.
We have to listen to y'all's podcast.
Yeah, that's right. And I've actually thought of that, but I'm gonna have to run them by Coach before I even put them out there.
Yeah, I hear you there. But so let's shift gears to your podcast a little bit. I mean, like I said, you guys just started it up not too long ago. What's the schedule like when maybe even some of our fans or y'all's fans or whoever listens to this, when can they expect to hear you guys do an episode?
We normally want to get on live on Monday night, or not live, but get on air Monday and have it out by Tuesday evening or so. Mm-hmm. But we got like Buck and JR, they work shift work, so they have different days off every week. So if they're not available on Monday, we might push it to Tuesday and do it Tuesday night and put it out Wednesday. We want to be as current as we can off the weekend sports, but it's not a real rush. I would rather include everybody than to go ahead and have the show without them.
Yeah, that's for sure. What you got, Merce?
I think I'm out. You got?
You're out already?
I'm out already.
God, we're only 15 minutes in. We got to keep chatting around.
Something might come back up. Something might pop up. We'll see.
Well, here, let me see if I can get you all fired up. I remember when I was younger, growing up, and you're not that much older than I am, but still, it's about that time where I'm starting to think about, okay, I'm gonna start playing basketball for Page too, and it's you and it's JR and it's people like Tyler Smelser and Phil Heyer was in there some, and so I always enjoyed going to Luray and seeing that Page County blue, those unis that we used to have. I think the middle school might use them now, but you guys had the little like Carolina thing going down the side.
Yeah.
And always laying a smack down on Luray. So talk about some of those memories.
Man, there was nothing better than beating Luray. My sophomore year, I played varsity my sophomore year, and we beat Luray twice, and it was awesome. My junior year, they beat us twice, and it was terrible. And then my senior year, which we had a really good year, my senior year, and Luray took 2 L's to us that year too. And Luray was good that year. I mean, they had some good players, Joe Lucas and Brad Painter and a couple other good players. So if we didn't win the district that year, they were gonna. Well, Riverheads was pretty good too with Jeremy Heiser, but like you said, I love taking that Page County Blue to Luray and beating them, especially in the old days when we had the old schools.
Oh man,
it felt like the fans was literally on the court. And you could hardly breathe in there. It was so hot, but it was an awesome atmosphere, and playing just to play in those games was awesome, but then to also get the win made it that much better.
Y'all remember a few years ago when it was real hot in San Antonio's arena. The air conditioning went out in the I can't even remember what their arena is called, but they went out in there and everybody was all up in arms and they're over there cramping and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there like, man, this is what we grew up playing in here. I'd be just fine.
The pampered professional athletes.
So you ended up going on playing at Lynchburg. Talk about was that the only school that you had looks to, or you have a couple others? What made you decide to go to Lynchburg? Because it's a beautiful campus.
Yeah, really, I really wasn't recruited to Lynchburg. Coach Purdom got some film to him, and they liked the film, and they told me, if you come here, it's almost like a preferred walk-on situation.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would give myself that much credit to be a preferred walk-on. They basically just said, come here, yeah, you can play, but let's see if you can make the team. And they weren't very good before I got there, and it didn't change because of me. Trust me. They got a coach, Hillary Scott, who he played overseas. He played in the ODAC at Roanoke. He was player of the year. I mean, just an excellent coach, and he really turned that program around, really in the recruiting side of things. But I got on board just as he was turning that program around, and I just got to be around it, and I learned a lot from him. Now, I didn't play. I mean, I hardly ever got to play. I felt like I could have played, but it's one of those situations where here I was a walk-on, and he's recruited kids from Florida and other states away that I felt like, at times I felt like he owed them playing time. Yeah. And so, I just didn't get my shot over them. And it was tough. And, I got in a slump about it and probably didn't handle it the best way. I mean, he didn't know that, but I wasn't giving it my all after I felt like, I'm just not going to get to play. But at the same time, I was around a good coach, around the college program, and I learned a whole lot.
All right. Well, that's all I got for this time. You got anything, Merce?
All right, I want to go back to that Page Luray talk. I gotta chime in with it. So you talked about the atmosphere at the old schools. I just what is your opinion like? Can you even imagine playing in Page and Luray, they've played each other twice now with 25 people in the gym. Can you even fathom that, really? How like the atmosphere is so different? You could hear a pin drop in that place.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. If you're so excited to play in the Page Luray rivalry, and a lot of that is because of the fans and because of the atmosphere, and for coronavirus to kind of take that away from these kids, and that's a small thing in the big picture of what the coronavirus has taken from people. But yeah, that would be really hard to get hype and ready to go when it's 15, 20 people in the stands.
Well, I'll tell you what else makes it a little hard to get going for those Luray folks is when you get beat by 30. I noticed that this week, Merce. Don't you worry, brother.
Yeah, that was the other night, right?
Yeah. I think they took them down by 34. I had to call Merce. I think Page already had a 29-point lead going into the fourth quarter. So
they were red hot.
Yeah.
I actually watched a little bit of it, and Kanan Pierce started the game. I think he had like 10 straight points, and then Ricky got going, and they all got going. They couldn't miss. And then I think they went and played the other night against Madison. It was cold as ice. But I'm just glad they were hot against Luray.
Yeah, it's always nice to beat Luray. But yeah, I think they took a 14-point loss to Madison. We'll probably have already talked about that tomorrow when we record tomorrow. But yeah, it's always nice to beat Luray, isn't it, Merce?
Well, it's not nice to lose to Page, but it's nice to beat him. So I can see what we're both saying for sure.
Yeah. Well, Luray will probably get back around to it at some point. It comes and it goes. But Chad, really appreciate you taking some time out and coming on with us again. For those of you guys listening, Sports with the Boys. I think it's with the in parentheses after hours. Check those guys out. They are hilarious. They'll keep you laughing. And Chad's the guy that kind of runs the show. So really appreciate you coming on, Chad.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. All right. See you.